Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Hawk Blogger Mornings in the afternoon. I'm Brian Nemhauser. You can find everything we do on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram at Hawk Blogger, and also Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. If you ever want ad-free audio of the podcast, you can get it at patreon.com/hawkblogger. Plus, you get access to the Discord server and hang out with the great community we're growing there. And we've got quite a show today. I mean, all the shows have been amazing. I got to admit, like not taking credit. It's just been amazing. The people we've been able to talk to and have fun with. I've got some exclusive interviews I'll be playing later with Jake Peetz, who may be the next Seahawks offensive coordinator. You don't know. Justin Hinds, the Seahawks defensive line coach. So I'll play those for you. Albert Breer will be with us, as well as Doug Kyed from the Boston Herald. But we got to start with the big guns. Ted Nguyen of The Athletic, who's been on with us before. And it's so good to see you in person, man.
Yeah, for sure.
How you doing in this wild environment here on Radio Row?
Man, it's fun. It's my first Radio Row. And
is it really?
Yeah. It's been fun. I feel like I've been talking nonstop, but I mean, it only happens once a year. So just taking advantage of meeting some of the people that, you talk to online all day, but you've never actually met before. So it's kind of cool. What's been your favorite? Well, maybe favorite's the wrong. What's been the most memorable introduction you've had so far? So I mean, I felt like I've met these people before, so I should say I just haven't. We don't converse every day, so it's good like catching up. There's a lot of like my son's here with me. He's my producer. Of course, he's doing no work right now. He's actually a real job. And he's like, oh, these celebrities. And I'm like, I'm not particularly interested in the celebrities. Like, I like talking to the people that I can learn from, that I think do really, really good work. And, we have a lot of people to choose from. You fit in that category for sure. But there's also kind of cool. It's like, oh, wow, there goes, Justin Jefferson or whatever. Any guys that like you're kind of starstruck by, or anyone's work that you really respect, you've got to spend some time talking with? I think I've lost my starstruck ability.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I think definitely in the beginning of my career, especially like getting locker room access for the first time, that really kind of resets your perspective on things. Yes. But then, after being in the industry a while, I'm not a star by any chance, by any stretch of the imagination, but you just lose that. You just realize people are just people, and you kind of lose that starstruck, I think. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk to you about. You've written some really great articles recently, and you were one of the first people we talked about when Mike McDonald got hired. So it's kind of come full circle. But part of today and this show is also getting people familiarized with the Patriots and what's going on that side. And I've talked to folks. Oh, I see Adam Ray. I'm staring right at Adam Ray. Adam's supposed to be on the show today. I'm going to scream at him at some point to get over here. But we talked about some of the players. I'm curious, like schematically, what is a Mike Vrabel defense like? What do you notice about Mike Vrabel's defense? Yeah, I mean, the thing with the Patriots is they've changed so much from even week one to the middle of the season and into the postseason. It feels like they've become something totally different. So I think with Mike Vrabel, you're going to see a lot of quarters, a lot of man match type of coverages, 3-4. But I think one thing he's done really well throughout his career is really adapt. And it's been kind of extreme the way they've adapted and changed this season. But in the postseason, it's almost unrecognizable to what they did in the regular season. They're playing. You would think they played a little bit more man coverage than they did in the regular season, but they didn't. But in the postseason, they've definitely turned up the man coverage dial, and they've been really good, only allowing 2.7 yards per route run in man coverage. They're doing a lot of disguising. Yes, like a lot of post-snap disguising. So they're doing some wild things and blitzing a little bit more. To me, I think the Seahawks defensive game plan shouldn't look too different from what they've done. But I would not be surprised if the Patriots came in and just totally flabbergasted the Seahawks with a weird and wild game plan they didn't expect. Well, that's one of the things I'm curious about, because Bill Belichick was known for basically changing his defense to meet who he was playing week in, week out.
Vrabel, I don't know. You tell me. I haven't gotten the impression that he is truly adjusting week in, week out, but this does seem like a pretty big adjustment to what he was doing before.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to, or I don't know if we've seen the level of adjustment from Vrabel that we've seen from Belichick, but he definitely comes from that tree. And I think just based on how different the defense has looked in a postseason, I think they'll probably have something up their sleeve for the Seahawks. And I mean, to me, I think the Seahawks are the better team from a roster perspective, a continuity perspective. They have more experience. So the Patriots have to be a little bit more risky, and they have to be able to surprise the Seahawks in order to make this a game.
What if you were Mike Vrabel, knowing what you know about who's going to be, by the way, if people don't know, Ted also has a Raiders podcast and covers the Raiders pretty closely as well. Knowing what you know about who's going to be the new head coach of the Raiders and current offensive coordinator for the Seahawks, what are some things that would make some sense for Vrabel to try?
I think blitzing Sam Darnold. And I know like that might be an overblown narrative about Sam Darnold and pressure, but it definitely shows up in the stats that this year that he's had some turnovers when he's been pressured. So I think just the way they've been able to play man coverage with so much success in the postseason, I wouldn't be surprised to see them really try to gamble and throw some man pressures at Sam Darnold and try to get him to turn the ball over. To me, I think forcing turnovers is the only way they could really get into this game. If it's a turnover-free game, to me, the Seahawks are probably going to win by a margin.
Interesting. Well, what makes you say that?
To me, the Seahawks defense is the best unit in this game. I don't see how the Patriots are going to move the ball with any consistency on that defense. I just don't think they have the answers for the Seahawks defense. And offensive, and on the other side of the ball, I think the Seahawks will be able to move the ball. I don't know if they're going to score 30 or 40 points on them, but I just think the only way that the Patriots could put up over 20 points per se is if they get some short fields based on off of turnovers.
So it's interesting because one of the things that I'm curious about, the Seahawks all season have been known for being a light box team.
Yeah.
That still crushes the run.
Yeah.
Right. And even Sean McVay got all this attention for 13 personnel and 3 tight ends. And like everybody had to match. Seahawks are like, screw that. I'm not matching. We're still going to crush the run. Mostly they did that against the Rams as well. But the Patriots do like to play an extra O lineman. And I actually want to talk about this with some of the Seahawks coaches and players. But how do you find teams handle that differently? Like in one sense, an extra offensive lineman obviously should be a better blocker, more formidable, but you also really don't have to account for them as a receiver.
Yeah.
So what is different there?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it depends on the level of blocker that offensive lineman is. Like, how much better is this offensive lineman at blocking than your second or third tight end? And I think their extra offensive lineman is Thayer Munford, who is a pretty good blocker. So it depends. Like, are you good enough to make me adjust? And if you adjust, it's not that expensive of adjustment. Like, do they play a little bit more base than they usually do? And does that really matter because as you said, that offensive lineman is not really a receiving threat. I mean, you might be able to run a trick play to him or something like that. So does it really matter if you play a little bit more base? Your coverages are a little bit more limited, but it does take away a lot of things they could do in a passing game because that lineman's on the field. And to me, I just don't think the Patriots are a good enough running team to where that 6th offensive lineman is going to make a huge difference. They're a running team that really depends on explosives. They're not one that can grind it out as, like the Rams are. The Rams have one of the most efficient run games we've seen in the last 25 years.
Line that they run behind.
Yeah. The Patriots are not that.
No.
But they can create explosive runs. So that's something you have to watch out for. But at the same time, the Seahawks are one of the best teams at stopping explosive runs because they're so good at tackling in the secondary.
So last thing for you, Ted, you wrote an article about how Mike Macdonald's defense has evolved since Baltimore and even here. What are you seeing that's different about this defense than where it started?
Yeah, when I first decided to write this article, and I thought I was going to sit down and see, a bunch of cool simulated pressures and all these cool, different schemes. But what I found was it's really simplified. They don't do a lot of the simulated pressures that he kind of made a name for himself with the Ravens. And I think part of that is because he has the best defensive line that he's had ever as a play caller. So he's relying more on the 4-man rush to get home. They do some interesting things to stop the run out of their nickel and dime personnel. Like, they'll have some run blitzes in. Imanwari is so good, whether they line up in a 4-3, 3-4, they do some front movement stuff. But I think some of the more exotic scheme stuff that they do is more to stop the run. And from a coverage perspective, they are very, very similar to a Fangio scheme. It's almost identical to what the Eagles do on the back end. So it's not overly complicated. They're going to rotate out of their too high here and there. But the complexity is more on the nuances of what they do, how they read things out, how they play things with certain techniques, and how they're so good at communicating and being on the same page.
All right. What else should folks be looking at coming up from you on The Athletic?
I'm writing my preview, so tomorrow we'll have a preview of what to look out for when the Patriots have the ball, and on Friday, my preview for what to look for when the Seahawks have the ball will be out on The Athletic.
Ted, man, you're amazing at what you do. Thank you so much for taking the time.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
That is Ted Nguyen with The Athletic. Make sure you check out his stuff there. And right now, I want to give you guys a interview I just did last night with Albert Breer. Great conversation with Albert. And let me put this up here for you guys so you can see everything that Albert said. Great stuff from him. So here you go. All right, everybody. Next guest today here on Radio Row, day 3. Albert Breer, absolutely thrilled to have you back on the show. We had a chance to talk to you before the season during Seahawks training camp. And I don't know if you remember, you had a really interesting perspective on this Seahawks team. You thought the Seahawks and the Green Bay Packers were in the same position. Good young teams with no necessarily clear blue chip guys.
And to be clear with everybody, that was before the Micah Parsons trade.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right. And your question was, which of these two teams are going to have some guys step forward? And you watch this season. I'm kind of curious. You look back on that take. What's your perspective?
I mean, I don't get them all right, but that one was pretty good, I guess. I mean, I think it's very good players elevating and becoming great players, and so I think there are a ton of guys you can put in that category. I mean, the obvious one is Jackson Smith and Jigba. You can make that argument for Sam. You can make that argument for Charles Cross. You can make that argument for Byron Murphy. You can make that argument for Devin Witherspoon. And then just the rate at which they hit on veteran players and like how those guys fit. So that's DeMarcus Lawrence. It's obviously Sam himself. Leonard Williams has been around a while, but first team All-Pro, excellent acquisition by John Schneider and his group. So you kind of go up and down the line, and it's to me, right? There weren't very many whiffs, and I think that's what these two teams have in common. This past off season, there are a lot of hits, and a lot of those hits are playing very big roles for the two teams going into Sunday.
Well, it's interesting you hit on how these teams have been assembled, and it used to be kind of well known that if you're building a roster, free agency was not the way to do it. People would spend a lot of money the first couple days. Those teams generally didn't work out that well. The Seahawks end up signing DeMarcus Lawrence, Cooper Kupp, Sam Darnold, all free agents. And then you look at the Patriots and the Milton Williams deal and the other things they've done. Free agency has, even you go back to the Eagles last year, free agency feels like it's become a different and more important part of how to assemble championship rosters.
I think that's fair. Yeah. I think it's the explosion of the salary cap, which allows you to do both. I think it's also where you're at. You know what I mean? I think the Seahawks certainly experienced this when they were able to be aggressive and go get Cliff Averill and Michael Bennett and Percy Harvin at a time when they had all of those guys on rookie contracts: Sherman, Thomas, Chancellor, Wagner. I mean, you name it. Wilson, of course.
Yes,
and so, you had flexibility to do that because you had so many guys on rookie contracts, and I think to some degree they're back there again. Like eventually, Witherspoon and JSN and Across is now paid, but wasn't. So. You're sort of in that window where it's not like a rookie, it's not like a quarterback on a rookie contract window, but it's similar in that so much of your core is severely underpaid because of the stage they're at in their career.
When you look at there's a lot of things to talk about with these two teams, and most of the focus is on this game that's at hand, but there's also been news coming out about the Seahawks relative to Clint Kubiak. Obviously has taken the job with Las Vegas, and John Schneider kind of confirmed that last night. I'm curious your perspective. I talked to Justin Outen last night for 15 minutes or 2 nights ago now. And he's a guy that, was an OC before and has called some plays, the run game coordinator now. You've got Jake Peetz, who's there and had been pass game coordinator, worked under McVay.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to make sense for the Seahawks? Do you have a sense of how they're going to look internal to try to keep this thing basically on the rails of what they got started? Or do you think that they go external and maybe bring in someone new?
I think Jake Peetz is an interesting candidate who's been a coordinator before, although it was at the college level. I think you have to kind of look at everything because clearly you're in a championship window. You're here, So the good news is there's a lot of names that you can shake from that tree, And so, you could look at guys from the San Francisco staff. I can't imagine that for a play calling opportunity, let Clay go.
But would make a lot of
sense. But that would make some sense.
Yeah.
Brian Fleury is a tight ends coach in Seattle. Has been sort of waiting for his opportunity. Is he somebody that you could look at? If Nate Scheelhaase doesn't get the coordinator job in LA, if that winds up going to Dave Ragone, could you kind of try to pull on that? It's a champagne problem to have. Losing your head coach for the reason they lost, or losing your offensive coordinator for the reason they lost their offensive coordinator is definitely is definitely a good thing. But now you kind of run into that problem that a lot of people will talk about with hiring a defensive a head coach with a defensive background, in that your quarterback plays really well, you're going to lose the play caller. And so how they attack that, I think they're going to look at a variety of options. I don't think it'll be just one.
Yeah, I'm curious on that. That's also been conventional wisdom. But you also look at Mike McDonald was hired away after a great season as a DC, or 2 great seasons. D'Amico Ryan's hired away after a great season. Robert Saleh hired away. Is it really that the offensive coach you're going to lose, or if you have a great assistant, a coordinator, they're going to get hired away?
It's just more common on offense. I mean, I think and now we started to see that swing back around. And I think part of that is because the pipeline has kind of been pumped dry. You keep tapping into that pipeline, eventually it's going to run dry. And it did feel like that this year there were less obvious offensive candidates. Now Clint clearly emerged, as the one, but 2 months ago, I don't know if people would have said that guy's getting one. And, because there was that opening that was created by the lack of obvious names out there, he jumps into it and winds up getting interviewed by 6 teams, and is a finalist in 2 places and winds up having his pick of the 2. So I think it's just more common on the offensive side. And I think there's perception out there too that a defensive now, fair or not, there is perception out there that a defensive coordinator might be more replaceable.
Yeah. Well, 2 other names I was kind of curious about from your perspective. The Seahawks did interview Grant Udinski and Hank Fraley last year. Both of those guys, Udinski was up for head coaching jobs this cycle and ended up going back to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And then you've got Hank Fraley, who remained with Detroit. Some people thought he would go with Ben Johnson to Chicago. Do you think either of those guys, would Udinski go for an OC job after he went back and turned down head coaching?
Udinski be an interesting name. You would potentially run into the same problem with, right? Is that a 1-year fix? Is Liam Cohen willing to let him go? A lot of times those guys are in agreements where it's I'll give you 2 years. Hank Fraley's an interesting name, although Detroit's taking care of him.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason they hired Drew Petzing was because of his relationship with Hank Fraley. So I'm not saying he's at a coordinator level in Detroit, but he's as close you can get to it without being one, and had a huge influence on their offensive coordinator hire. So, like, those names do make some sense. Can you get them out is the question. Do you try to lure Josh McCown, out of Minnesota?
Yeah, that's a really interesting name.
I don't know that Josh would go for anything but a head coaching job, but he's an interesting name. So the good news is that the guy you're losing is from a tree that has a lot of branches now, and the fact that, that McVay Shanahan style of offense is what you've most comfortable in, and not just in Seattle, but he's run that offense in San Francisco, Minnesota. Half the league runs that offense. So there are solutions out there.
Talking to Albert Breer, MMQB, a couple more quick ones for you and let you get on with your day. I'm curious, everyone always looks at Super Bowl teams and they're like, what can we learn from these teams? Either how they were assembled, what schemes they're running offensively or defensively, to see if they can copycat, if they can learn from it. What's your kind of take on, are there some lessons from either the Seattle team or this New England team that other teams are going to try to replicate?
Yeah, I would say in both cases, I think the ability of the opponent to challenge the offensive line is going to be the biggest thing. And so for Seattle, it's right there in the middle of the line. Obviously, Gray Zabel has been an all-pro as a rookie. So I don't I think the other two spots, the center spot with Sundell and then the other guard spot with Bradford, are the Patriots able to exploit that with their defensive tackles? Because that's really the strength of their defense, is Milton Williams and Christian Barmore in the middle. And then, Seattle, same thing. The Patriots have two rookies on the left side of their line. And I think where Houston had some success, Denver had some success early in that game, was scrambling things for the left side of that line and creating opportunities for their guys to make plays off the defensive right side. And so, to me, if you're Mike McDonald, you're looking at that and you're like, how am I going to challenge Will Campbell at left tackle and Jared Wilson at left guard? So I'd say those are two areas that you would really look at and say, if based on, the rosters, those would probably be areas of weakness. I would say, I think New England's shown more weakness in the area I'm talking about. Seattle, I think, has done a pretty good job of masking what I think we all thought was going to be a bigger problem, even midway through the year.
All right, last thing for you. Legends kind of get made, narratives get written about what happens in these Super Bowls.
Yep.
And Mike McDonald in his second season, last year he was the youngest head coach in the league, no longer the case. But if the Seahawks are able to pull this off and they get a Super Bowl ring in his second year, he's in the same division as Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, who are generally considered two of the best that do it. What would it do? Where would it put Mike McDonald in that hierarchy of NFL coaches if they're able to complete this?
Way the hell up there. I don't know. I mean, I think if you're doing that in your second year, it's pretty incredible. McVay made it to a Super Bowl in his second year. Kyle Shanahan made it to his Super Bowl in his third year. Kyle still hasn't won one. Sean won one in his fifth year. Mm-hmm. So, I think it certainly puts you on an elevated plane. And I think all of it's deserved. He's done a phenomenal job, and I think you got to give so many people in the organization credit for acting as decisively and building the roster, acting decisively and making the change at offensive coordinator. There's a real vision for the team. And I think that's really, I think brought John Schneider back alive as a general manager, and that he was, Mike's so specific in what he wants from in each position. And, they're so detailed and they're so I think there's a lot of things that you would say about Mike McDonald where if he was holding a play sheet, calling an offense, we would be saying about them, And so I think the world of him. I think he's been fantastic through 2 years. And I don't think it's any mistake that it was 10 wins and then a Super Bowl. I think the even the stuff that like we weren't talking about as much before, like you've gotten to know him now. He's like kind of got a level of personality,
Yes.
but his ability to command the team, which I think was an open question.
It was.
He I watched that video that they put out there from 21 months ago where
it's amazing, right?
I mean, like he commands that room without raising his voice, and you could feel it. And so it seems to me like they've got a really good head coach for a long, long time to come.
Albert Breer, appreciate you taking the time. Tell folks what's coming up on MMQB that they should.
Oh, I mean, a ton of stuff. I'm still kind of digging through all the coaching stuff and everything else. So we have, I have 5 days to go until I get on that plane and go home
to see your family again
and get my weekends back.
All right.
Yeah, so
well, appreciate you. That is Albert Breer, MMQB. Some great stuff there from Albert Breer, who was talking about how this game could actually change where Mike Macdonald fits in the coaching hierarchy. Because Sean McVay, he didn't win one until his fifth year as coach. Kyle Shanahan's never won one at all.
Take that.
Yeah, exactly right.
Called out, dude. Shots fired.
While Breer was doing all that talking, good friend Adam Ray stopped by, man. It's good to see you, dude.
I'm in the flesh, by the way.
I know. It's really good.
Had it over shaky Zoom and that's on Twitter like a couple hours.
Yeah, that was a little awkward. I didn't expect that on the road. But
yeah. For friendship, by the way. I'm married. Are you married?
I'm married.
Let's go. How long have you been married?
26.
Wow.
Yeah.
3 or almost 4?
Okay.
No, 3. Yeah, 3.
This is a totally inappropriate question, but I think a comedian being married, is that a little rough? Like
no.
On the road, like
awesome. No. She's so supportive. Supportive up to a point. I'll say she literally just called me and goes, I did have back earlier, and he was doing a little like kids basketball shot for $20,000 for charity for choice. And I missed the first 3, and I said, let me get one more shot and I'll double it. And he said, okay, cool. And I hit it. And so she goes, I just watched you spend $20,000. I go, yeah. So gotta figure that out.
What's the charity?
It's Alexander Hamilton Scholars. It's the charity that actually donated the money from the we did a show with Cal Raleigh and Julio last week in Seattle called Behind the Plate. And at Fifth Avenue Theater, and all the money went there. It's an organization that's been in Seattle for 20+ years. It gives money and scholarships to and college assistance to low-income, high-achieving high school kids that are doing their best to make something of themselves. They got crappy circumstances, and maybe living in a studio apartment with 7 brothers and sisters and grandma, and still got straight A's and just crushing it, trying to so they give money and scholarships and leadership weeks. It's awesome. So all the money from the Avenue show went there, and then that's what I donated now $40,000 to, but. But she's the best. Being married on the road is not tough when your wife rules and supportive, and I don't know, it gives me a good amount of material. She's funnier than I am too, so technical difficulties.
Yeah, like
she's calling it saying lower the volume.
What did you do to my audio?
Yeah, it sounds good.
It sounds good to me. People are saying it sounds like it's cutting out a little bit.
Oh,
let me see.
Check.
Let me see if I've solved the problem there.
Got a different mic? Should I do a different headset?
Well, we'll see. Like, hold on. We'll see if that improved it at all. But if not, let's just see. It's a little bit scuffly. They say.
How about this one?
Well, that one's not plugged in, but we can give it a shot. Why not, man? Up until now, we haven't had any issues, so it's a little bit of a bummer.
Check.
Let's try that. Sounds good to me.
Check. I can hear you. That's got to be better. That feels way cleaner, dude.
All right,
guys, how do we feel?
They say it's working now.
Good.
All right. So, it's great. It's great. I didn't know that you had a charitable interest in what goes on there. We've done a bunch of charity here, but that's all serious and earnest.
Yeah.
And that's not what I know you for, to be honest. Like,
oh, really?
No. I know you for being off the cuff, saying all sorts of crazy things. And one of the things, I think last time I had you on, one of my favorite things is how Mike Macdonald's become your straight man.
Yeah.
Like every time, like this guy is so serious and he just constantly has a smile whenever you're interacting with him. And so you're also known for impersonations. And I'm not going to ask you to do one here, but if you were to start trying to build a Mike McDonald impersonation, where would you start?
Oh, I just I think debuted it on the Pat McAfee show.
Oh, really?
This is where it should be getting its first Seattle appearance. And just talk out the side of my mouth, but also gotta stay prepared. You guys saw what we did down there. It's run the plays, pass run, and defense is a big part of it. It's I don't know. Wake up with the sun, go to bed by 9:30. It's on Tuesday. On a Wednesday, I'd stay up a little bit later, watch Game of Thrones. But got a Catan game always on hand. Steph is always cooking something. Food usually. I like food, but sandwiches, crust off. Nuts. We do not care. Yeah, I did. That sounded a little Joe Biden. We don't care.
Yeah.
Come on. We don't care about anything. Come on. Yeah, Mike is a quietly silly guy. That's
right.
That's what I love about him. Anybody that is also down to clown and laugh at themselves is like an immediate bonder for a comedian and a person for me. If you cannot take life or yourself too seriously, then when I hit him up to do a little spot in the McAfee video I did was he was so receptive. He was like, yeah, like just tell me what to do. And it's cool. People that aren't in look, comedians want to be rock stars want to be comedians. We all probably still wish we could be on the field and play in the game on Sunday. Like, so to get a little taste of it, and I think Mike is looking at me as his into the comedy entertainment world. So I think when he gets to play a little role, he gets pretty fired up.
The impression I get is like he's a guy that he knows himself pretty well, right? He knows he's like not the life of the party from a like big personality. He's not going to be like cracking a bunch of jokes, but I know he would love and he like admires people that can. And so I think he just loves being around the glow of silliness, and being able to have that side of him. And I mean, John Schneider's a similar kind of guy. Like John's a bigger personality. He's like Tommy Boy and Anchorman and all those things that he's always joking about. But like for you to have gone through this experience as a huge Seattle sports fan, but obviously a Seahawks fan, and now, at the Super Bowl, not only as a Seahawks fan, not only as a super successful comedian, but also two guys that you become friends with that are at the friggin' foundation of the whole thing.
Yeah.
What's that like?
It's awesome. And to be honest with you, I got like kind of emotional watching Sam kind of just, hold the keys to the end of that game a few weeks ago, just because I have known him since he's been in the league and got drafted and was so stoked for obviously the Hawks and the organization and the city of Seattle. But yeah, on a personal level, it was like, got to know his folks and his fiance and I'm going to his wedding. And like, it just like, personally, I just was like, man, like what a crazy journey, dude. Like really you're not guaranteed anything in this life. You got to put in the time and put in the passion and have a good balance and figure out and a good support system and luck is involved in anybody's rise to stardom or success. And he just is all about it, man. And he really does love it here. And, I remember, I think it was day 2 or actually the day he landed, I was also in town and stuck around another day and showed him around the area a little bit. And I was just so stoked for him. Cause I'm like, dude, all I know, I'd got to know John for 4 or 5 years prior to that. So even John was like, what's Sam like? And like, I was like, I'll give you an example of what Sam is like. I was doing shows in Minneapolis and hello, Dave Wyman. Wow. Seahawks legend, Dave Wyman. The stars are just like us. They get their own coffee or put Jamba Juice, whatever the hell he's going to do. Maybe go get a dirty magazine from one of the, yeah. And, but no, he's got a subscription, but but seeing John, be so inquisitive about Sam. And I was like, dude, he had a chance to go see my show in Minneapolis. He lived maybe 7 minutes from the comedy club I was performing at. And my buddy Norman and I went over to his place and he was prepping. They were 4-0. This is when he was with the Vikings. So just last year, and they were going to Green Bay and it was Friday. And I go, come to the show. Literally I go on stage at like 7:30. You'll be out by 8:30, home by 8:40. And he's like, I got to do more studying and be asleep by 9. And then I'm getting up early to work out and study more and then leave for the team bus, I think at like 4 for the day before the game. And I'm like, man, no no lack of respect here. Like, if that's how you need to operate, cool. And so I told John that story, and I was like, that's who you're getting. Like, a guy that is just all about it, that isn't up, getting crazy drunk, and it's got a sweet girl, and like is just locked and loaded. And also, I feel like we got him in a time where he's like journeyed around enough. But even when the Panthers, I think Baker was injured, and he started when the Panthers were in Seattle a few years back and beat us. And I saw him then, and I was like, and he had ripped it up, and I was like, he just still felt like he had so much ball left in him. And it is interesting to see how quickly people write people off in any sport, where it's like one bad game, I mean, again, my boy Bob Stelton, who's right behind us, like, would always text me. He's like, your boy Sam, I don't know. Like, when we got him, he was like, I know he was 14-3, but those last 2 games, I'm like, it is so immature and like feeble-minded, for lack of a better word, to judge based on that. It's like, and I just knew what he was capable of, and it's just cool to see it come to fruition, because you still never know. You still got to play the games and mesh with your team. But Mike was telling me, he goes, and then I'll stop talking. You're like, dude, how much Four Loko did you drink? Great. Yeah. None, by the way. I've never done Coke and never done Four Loko. But weed, yes. Yeah. By the way,
You're
Denver.
in the right state for it.
Bro, yeah. This is, I mean, Seattle. I don't know if you remember when Seattle and Denver were playing the Super Bowl, and weed had just gotten legalized in both states. We were the first ones. And so there were a lot of memes going around with the Lombardi Trophy, and it was like the real Super Bowl. And all the stoners were like, yeah, man, what a cool meme, man.
Yes.
But Mike told me in preseason, he goes, this is the squad that you should come back and roast, because John and Mike let me roast the team last year. And he's like, this is the squad because there's no egos. Everyone is like together. Everyone is like, everyone is buds. He's like, I haven't seen this on a squad before. And the fact that we're seeing it like play out now, as far as, Ernest Jones having Sam's back when he threw a few picks in LA, awesome. Like, it's just, they're really playing for each other. And it seems like that's how it was in 2013.
Well, the Sam thing, I got to ask one follow-up there, because like, I've gotten to know Sam a little bit through, talking to him in the press and in the locker room and stuff like that. But he's very buttoned up. Like, he knows like, from all his experiences, to kind of keep things bland. Like, he's not going to give you a huge soundbite.
No.
Off the field though, I mean, Josh Allen's a good pal. He is, golfing, and like there's a silliness there for sure. When you're with Sam, do you get any?
Oh yeah.
Do you open up a little bit?
Oh
more?
yeah, he's silly, and like our text exchanges are pretty silly. And like, I think after one game, I said, I want to be you when I grow up, and he said, funny, I want to be you when I grow up. Basically, just jabbing at my age, that I'm like probably, I don't know, 20 years older than him.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, dude, he's real silly, and but he's just, there's certain people, not just athletes, but like, they got to get to know you a little bit before they let their guard down.
Sure, of course.
And so I kind of chalked him up to that for when I'd see certain people that be like, yeah, Sam's pretty reserved and quiet. We haven't gotten much out of him yet. I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, he's like, he just got here. And I had Sam and Mike and John in a box with me for a first pitch, and I'd asked Sam to do it. And he said, I haven't won any games yet. Let me win some games yet. And I told you again, respected that. He's like, I haven't done anything, so I don't really want to be on display yet. And, Mike, it was Mike's second year. So Mike was like, yeah, I'm down. But it was cool too, because we were in this suite, and I'm seeing John and Mike and Sam like hang out for the first time socially. And like, seeing that dynamic was really cool, of like the way they were all like just chopping it up and like getting to know each other. And John and Sam were talking about just like their early football days at one point, and just building rapport. And but Mike seems like the ultimate players coach too, man. I mean, it doesn't help that he's kind of on the eyes, but like 38, like, I mean, my mom met him and was like, play your cards right, send you some nudes. And I was like, Mom, stop.
Oh my God. Yeah. He's the thick boy, Lululemon. He's got it all going on.
Yeah, dude. Just like makes time, but also appropriate amount of like jacked. Like, you don't want McVay, HGH, like.
Oh, we haven't just. You had some Stafford takes, and to see them go down. How much are you enjoying them talking about how this is his worst loss? Like McVay's like, this is my worst loss. I'm struggling with it. Like,
yeah, awesome.
How nice
it feels so good. I hate the LA Rams so much, dude.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of hate in my heart. There's one guy that my mom dated pre my stepdad. Shout out to George, but she dated this one guy. I want to say his name was Dennis, and I hated this guy. He took me to Nolan Ryan's last game at the Kingdom, which was cool, but like, he was just trying to buy my love, and he was weird to my friend, and like, he we were playing basketball. I came out, I was shooting hoops in the front yard. He was like, hey, mind if I shoot some basket shots with you? And I'm like, if you're calling basketball basket shots and you're hooking up with my mom, there's no telling what you're doing to her sexually, you know? So, like, yeah. So that I didn't like that guy. Hate is a strong word, but I hated Dennis.
Are you telling us that Sean McVay was Dennis? Is this
Sean McVay is, yeah, if he dated my mom, that's the only way I could hate him more. But I feel like he's got little man syndrome too, man. And I'm sure he's a nice guy, but that's what you say about somebody that you deep down know is a bad guy. Stafford, on the other hand, I slapped around with some jokes pretty good, but I will say, seeing the video of him like talking about the game and like tugging his kids in. At first, I was like, oh, he's posting this just to like tug at our heartstrings, but it actually was really sweet. Bob Stelton, ladies and gentlemen. Live in the flesh. You want to talk about an in-shape guy. You want to talk about the guy that can do 6 push-ups a year and still have the body of a Greek god. It's Bob Stelton.
It's true.
His OnlyFans is onlyfans.com//Bobo, or I don't know, dude. Bobby with 6 E's.
He's also a former rock star. I mean, he's got it all.
Bob's done it all. Bob's lived 50 lives and somehow looks younger than all of us.
All right, last thing for you, because I know you got a jet.
Yeah.
So there's this elementary school called NFL Elementary. I don't know if you've seen this.
No.
On TikTok, and they teach all these lessons to kids based off of NFL stuff. And I happened upon one last night where the first part of it was about the 12s and how the 12s disrupt. And the back half of it was telling Sam Darnold's story. And, like making it for these elementary school kids, what it can look like in real life.
Wow.
To kind of it was really cool. I'm going to actually get it to Sam so you can see it.
That is cool.
But like,
which was just about like kind of highlighting his journey and how stay with it and keep working.
Every time he got turned down and
man, it should not be overshadowed at all. Like his truly like, and again, that's why I said I got like personally choked up, like, because it's like, man, we're just such fans. Like you don't really, unless you're living it, know the day to day of like what these I start crying.
Oh, this is
what
great.
These guys are doing and like what they have to put into it and the sacrifices they make. Like, and I know there's obviously like way more crazier jobs out there, nurses and people on the front lines and all that. But like, again, nothing is guaranteed. You got to put in the time and the work. And Sam is a strong example for kids to really see like, hey man, as Chumbawamba said, he got knocked down and got right back up again. And got opportunities and made good on them and didn't throw in the towel, didn't blame anybody.
Right.
That's what I always tell young comics too. Like when you find yourself getting to a place where you're like, man, I want this, or this isn't working out. It's so easy to start pointing the finger and being like, well, this person, didn't book me for this. So there's something wrong with that club or whatever. It's like, anytime you feel like you're doing that, flip it around and put it on yourself and be like, well, what can I do? Like it's control what you can control and get on stage more, write more, whatever. But, Sam has never blamed anybody. He's just put his head down and made the most of each situation. And now he's about to win a Super Bowl. 34-21. You heard it here first.
Love it.
Or 28-9 or 27-20 or 28-6.
Only one of those. Any one of those. We'll take any one of those as long as it's the right direction. And Adam, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
You're still on tour. Where should folks be?
AdamRayComedy.com, the Who Is Me Theater Tour, my first theater tour. Come check me out. We were at the Moore Theater in December, but we will be running it back in Seattle very soon. What else? We got what else?
You had that great thing with Cal Raleigh.
The Cal Raleigh show was awesome at Fifth Avenue behind the plate. Cal came, Julio. It was awesome. Going to try to do more of those, I think, with more Seattle guys.
Great, the crossover we've got with the Seattle
Bro,
sports.
I think we had John Schneider in the crowd. We put him on screen at the end. Everybody went nuts. I mean, we're in the middle of the Super Bowl, and like
so
John just came to the show as a fan, which was rad. I go, it was questions for Cal. And I go, John, any questions? I go, oh, it's John Schneider, Executive of the Year. And everybody goes nuts. Everybody went nuts. 2,000 people went nuts. And I go, any question? He goes, yeah. He goes, Cal, who's your favorite little rascal, Alfalfa or Spanky? Yeah, quoting Tommy Boy. It was awesome. But yeah, AdamRayComedy.com, all over the country, YouTube.com/AdamRayComedy. All my Dr. Phils are on there. I got a Netflix pod that's going to launch, I think, in March, which will just be the Adam Ray Show. And I think Cal and I are going to do a special episode at the Derby. Hopefully get Sammy D to do one too. So,
man, appreciate you making the time.
You're a legend, dude.
Yes.
Follow the Hawk Blogger. Best show out there.
I love it. Adam Ray, AdamRayComedy.com. Make sure you follow him. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
All that stuff. And if anybody knows about failure, it's Adam Ray. Not
yeah, no, yes, bro, you're not wrong. You know how many things I haven't gotten, dude?
I mean, I feel like comedy, like comedians.
It's all it is, dude. It's you're getting on stage, you're putting yourself out there, you try new bits. I'm doing a show tonight, and I got a few jokes that I'm going to talk about just from like today, and it's like maybe they go well, maybe they don't, but like you get one shot at this, so you gotta just be fearless and take chances.
If we had longer, that's where I was going to go next, because I feel like the Sam Darnold comedian connection. There's something really cool there. So
there is.
Appreciate you, dude.
I love you.
We'll talk more.
Go Hawks.
Adam Ray, awesome to have him. We'll have Doug Kyed from the Boston Herald here any minutes. I'm just going to text him to get a perspective on the Patriots. And folks, we've already off to a running start. Ted Nguyen from The Athletic, then you heard from Albert Breer, and then Adam Ray. So like I said, it's always going to be a little crazy here on Radio Row. Sorry that the audio kind of got messed up a little bit. Hopefully we're all good there now. But you know, we're having so much fun here. Hopefully that's coming through in the experience. But part of the fun was this morning, the conversation I was able to have with Jake Peetz, the conversation I was able to have with Justin Hinds, conversation I had with Rashid Shaheed and Brady Russell and some other folks. So, yeah, we'll get to all that a little bit later. If you haven't already given the show a like, click subscribe. Now's the time to do it. Also, a great time to go over to simplyseattle.com. Use promo code HawkBlogger15. Get 15% off your favorite Seahawks or Seattle sports gear. And get it now. Have your next superstition, like your next lucky shirt, your next lucky hat, whatever, for this game coming up. And I'm really excited, and hopefully I've got this right. Doug Kyed?
Yes, perfect.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
All right. We did that over text, and I was like, I hope this is right.
Rhymes with died. Yeah.
I mean, I got Nemhauser as the last name, so like it's just I'm used
can
to
go all over
everything.
the place. Yeah.
So Doug works at Boston Herald, and it's done amazing work over the years. Like well respected by me and by anyone who follows sports and the Patriots. So folks that don't know your background and how long you've been doing this, fill people in a little bit.
Yeah, I started on the beat really the playoff run in 2012. So I was there for the entire second dynasty of the Patriots, including those dark ages over the last 6 years. But yeah, first Super Bowl I covered was the Patriots Super Bowl, Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl back in Super Bowl 49. And I covered obviously many since then, but been at Nesson, been at PFF, now with the Boston Herald. So, and I was actually born in Edmonds, Washington. So I've got some roots.
Yeah. So we were talking the other day, and you were like, actually used to be, and I was like, Edmonds is one of my favorite places in the Seattle area. And so you were there, and you ended up growing up in Boston.
Yep. This is the Doug Kyed Bowl. This and Super Bowl 49. It's fun. It's honestly fun to be covering the team that I grew up watching from the time that I was born until I was 11 years old, and then the team that I've been working and covering for the last 13 years or whatever it is at this point.
Well, so you've got a unique perspective then, not only in terms of the Seahawks stuff, but watching that Patriots run. Now, you weren't all the way, like how far back is it?
About 2012, 2013.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
not all the way back.
All the way back, but a fair share. And so, and I was telling you, I've got family back there, so I spent a fair time back with Boston. I know Boston fans. There was a game I went to where it was after the second Super Bowl between the Super Bowl between the Seahawks and Patriots, where the Seahawks went to Foxborough and they beat the Patriots. Cam Chancellor guarded Gronk in the end zone, and I was actually there with my son. And one of the things that kind of stuck out to me was kind of the apathy in like the fan base, and the reason I'm going to kind of tie this back, but there's like if you're really thirsty and you have a glass of water, you're kind of quenched. If you have 3 glasses of water, you're like, I'm done. And so as much as you want to say every Super Bowl is special, after you have 6 Super Bowls or whatever, it's hard for that to be special.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like that journey for Patriots fans and like the sports landscape there for this drought, now coming back to this, do you feel like they're thirsty again?
I do actually, and I feel like the stadium was louder for this playoff run in the wild card round and the divisional round than I remember it being back in, let's say, 2014, 15, 16, all those other years, because there has been that little drought now. And as fun as it was for Patriots fans to be like, okay, can we get 4? Can we get 5? Can we get 6? Yeah, there's been a longer lull now.
2 straight 4-13 seasons. And really overall, no one saw this coming. Like some people saw maybe 10, 11 wins on the schedule just because of how easy it was. But I don't think anyone was seeing a real legitimate Super Bowl run. Honestly, even myself included, until Jarrett Stidham got hurt in the divisional round of the playoff game, I was like, I'm not covering a Super Bowl this year. And I was like, okay, here we go. I guess I got to start planning for San Francisco. So I think that plays a major factor too. And with Gillette at Gillette Stadium, you can really tell it's rocking when the press box starts to shake because there's people above you. And if the press box starts to shake and you really start to kind of fear for your life a little bit, that's how you know how passionate fans are. And that happened multiple times in the playoff run.
Well, I just remember even the first time the Seahawks won a Super Bowl, I felt it as someone who cheered for that team for a while, like, okay, cross that off the bucket list. And so finding now like this new renewed thing, it's kind of an interesting path for both of these teams to kind of get back to the mountaintop and see who ends up, raising the trophy. For folks that are interested in learning more about how the Patriots became this team, what are the few storylines that you'd highlight?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the two big things are Mike Vrabel's hiring and the buy-in from the players, and then also just the ascension of Drake May in year 2, because he was not the same quarterback that he is now in year 1. And I think that the return of Josh McDaniels as offensive coordinator plays a major factor in that. I think just the typical year 2 growth of a quarterback. But Drake May had serious turnover issues last season. He was not the same quarterback. He was not nearly as efficient or productive last season. And he just came on so strong, even when the season began, because this isn't even necessarily the Drake May that we were saying during the summer. And then a few of these things are, I don't know if I want to call it luck or good fortune or whatever it is, but most teams don't hit on 100% of their free agency class. And that's what the Patriots were able to do this offseason. So you give a lot of credit, obviously, to Elliott Wolf and Ryan Cowden, John Stryker, Mike Vrabel in that front office. But it's also like some degree of luck to just get everyone playing well. The rookie class has been huge this year for them. So they've turned over, I think, about 60-70% of their roster from last year. So even if you look at that Seahawks-Patriots game from last year, this is really not the same team that is now.
Interesting. Well, the defense has clearly gotten a lot of attention lately. They played their best 5 games in the last 5 games. At the same time, they played 5 pretty struggling teams. I mean, you're talking about like the Quinn Ewers Dolphins and the Jets and stuff like that. So how are you trying to separate what is actually real growth from that defense, which I absolutely see as a high quality defense versus, those are some offenses that probably are going to struggle against most teams?
No, it's a good question because even in the playoffs, Chargers without 2 of their 2 starting tackles, Texans without Nico Collins, Broncos without Bo Nix. What I look at as the strength of this Patriots defense, though, is the run defense, because they've been this good really all year. As long as Milton Williams and Robert Spillane have been on the field, they didn't allow a running back to go over 50 yards until I think week 9 or 10 this season. So that's a legitimate aspect of this defense. The pass rush, I don't think is as legitimate because they've really had to ramp up pressure using blitzes, and that's even against some of these teams that we're talking about. Like you said, the Quinn Ewers-led Dolphins, Brady Cook-led Jets, and these teams that have offensive line issues. So it's hard to say exactly what's real, but I think the run defense is real. They've got good quality players in Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis. But as a whole, I think that there's some other influences that are playing in the fact of the Patriots defense right now.
So I'm sure you've been hearing this all week. I know Patriots fans have been hearing it all week. Seahawks fans have been hearing it too. The Seahawks are the better team. Right. They're favorite. They're there's a lot of ways the Seahawks can win. There's only a few ways the Patriots can win. I can tell you, Seahawks fans for the most part don't love love being in that situation, right? And they're not used to being in that situation. So, like, when you look at the Patriots in this matchup, besides Drake May, which obviously you need Drake May to play well for this to go well, who are the like 2 or 3 guys that are going to have like really big games for the Patriots to pull this off?
Well, one is definitely rookie left tackle Will Campbell, because he struggled against the Chargers and against the Texans in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. Played much better against Nick Bonito of the Broncos last week, but it was a weird game. Like, it's a snowy game. It's a run-heavy game. pass rushers might not be able to get their footing that well out there. So I don't want to throw that game away because I think that Campbell did improve and he's still working back from a knee injury. But you do worry about that pass rush in Seattle. And I know the interior rush is really strong, but I mean, he could struggle against those edge rushers as well. And I was actually asking all the Seahawks edge rushers about Will Campbell today, and like they were praising him, but it wasn't like you would normally necessarily hear from players going up against an opponent. So he's a big one. And Christian Gonzalez, I think, is a major one too, because I know that JSN went off against the Patriots last year, but that was with Marcus Jones in the slot. That was a bunch of guys who weren't even on this team or who aren't even on this team at this point who were covering him. Now with JSN playing more outside, I do think that we see a lot of Christian Gonzalez versus Jackson Smith and Jigba. And that's a really good matchup because JSN might be the best wide receiver in the NFL this year. Mm-hmm. Christian Gonzalez is not the best cornerback in the NFL. That's probably Patrick Surtain, but he's at least in that top 5-6, conversation. And Mike Vrabel has been praising Christian Gonzalez for his improvement, even in the back half of the season. He let up a 52-yard catch against Marvin Mims last week. That wasn't great. He also made the game-clinching interception. He's got his hand on the ball a lot this playoff run. So if he can, I don't expect him to shut down Smith and Jigba, but if he can neutralize him a little bit, I do wonder about how Darnold then pivots to the other offensive pass catcher, the offensive weapons on the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think I overheard someone at your table back there getting a little miffed about someone tweeted. I don't even know what it was.
Right.
JSN had 12 catches for 12 catches, 17 targets for 117 yards against Christian Gonzalez last year, and he's like, he wasn't even guarding.
He covered him twice.
He was guarding DK. And like, what are you talking about? And most of those catches actually came against Marcus Jones, but like. It does feel like that's going to be a fascinating matchup because you don't really hear as much about coaches having cornerback travel anymore because it distorts so many other things for defenders. And JSN never plays one spot. I mean, he's in the backfield a good amount as well. So if it's not Christian Gonzalez against JSN and they're like, it doesn't necessarily make sense for the Seahawks to say, oh, let's go against your best guy.
Right.
That's not what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
How do you feel JSN go? Carlton Davis has been excellent in the playoffs. Marcus Jones, really feisty, but he's a little shorter. Like, where do you see those matchups?
Yeah, I think Carlton Davis during the season was like always good for one penalty and one injury per game, but otherwise he was great. Patriots fans would start to complain about the penalties and some of the things, and every week I'd tweet back and be like, he's allowing 30 yards per game. Like, you'll take a 15-yard penalty if it means that he's giving up 30 yards per game. So he could let up a catch or two against JSN, especially in the end zone. He hasn't been as strong in the red zone, so that could be an exploitable matchup. Marcus Jones is a really interesting player because he was probably one of the Patriots' best players this season. I think he probably could have even been an All-Pro or a Pro Bowler. Just based on how he was as an overall player, though, because he was getting pass breakups, he was getting sacks, tackles for loss. He returned an interception for a touchdown. He had 2 punt returns for a touchdown. So just a really good overall player, but he's another guy who can get exploited at times in coverage. The thing about him, though, and watch this not happen on Sunday, but when he gets beat, at some point in the game, he'll make some massive play and make up for it. Like, he'll get an interception, he'll get a touchdown, something else will happen. So, I don't love that matchup for the Patriots of Marcus Jones on JSN just because JSN is a bigger guy. But Jones is really feisty. He is a playmaker, and you don't want him to have the ball in his hands because he could score a touchdown at any moment.
I thought Carlton Davis's interception against the Texans when he got his knee down, it was in the conversation, might be the best interception of the playoffs so far.
It was like a fraction of an inch.
Unbelievable play. Gives me that John Madden 1 knee equals 2 feet book back in the day. But where else do you see the Patriots maybe having an opportunity to exploit some advantages? And where is maybe a place or two where you're like, this is going to be tough for the Patriots to handle?
Yeah, I do think, I know how good Kenneth Walker's been this season, but I actually do have pretty high confidence in the Patriots run defense, really, no matter who they're going up against, because in that run where they're not even allowing a 50-yard running back, they're going up against Bijan Robinson. They're going up against some really good running backs. So I would personally be shocked if the Patriots do allow a lot of yards on the ground this week. If anything, that they've been worse against quarterbacks who can scramble, and I don't think they really need to worry about that too much in this game. So that's definitely one area where I don't know if it's something the Patriots can exploit, but I do have confidence that they'll be able to at least limit Kenneth Walker. And I would just say that the pressure that the Seahawks are going to be able to get, especially I mentioned the edge defenders early and Will Campbell, but I'll mention the interior line as well, because they've got another rookie at left guard, Jared Wilson. He's been the weak spot on the offensive line, if we're being honest here. He's allowed a decent amount of pressures. Him and Will Campbell have been a little bit, I don't know, it's been a little shaky against games and stunts this season. And when you're talking about that Seahawks interior defensive line, that could cause you some real problems. Right guard Michael Nguyen, I think one of the Patriots' best players this season. Center Garrett Bradbury playing much better than anyone would have expected him to play this year after he got cut by the Vikings. But he's just another kind of smaller guy who can get beat at times. So I think that if the Patriots start allowing too much interior pressure, that could really get to Drake May. And we have seen some fumbling issues. We have seen some interceptions, and we have not seen the same Drake May in the postseason that we saw during the regular season. And that's a really funny element of this game to me, is that I think there's a lot of NFL fans out there, and Seahawks fans are probably included, who really only saw the Patriots in the playoffs this year. And they're probably looking at Drake May being like, what the hell? How is this guy an MVP candidate? Yeah. Like, he's getting sacked. He's fumbling the ball. He's throwing for 80 yards. Drake May was phenomenal during the regular season. Like, you have to believe me. We're not crazy. Like, he really was that good. So I'm really curious to see if he can bring that back in the Super Bowl. Obviously, another really good defense. He's gone against amazing defenses.
Unbelievable murderer's row that they've gone against defensive.
And I think that's really what's causing them trouble. But there's a lot of pressure on Drake May in this game, because everyone's going to be watching and trying to figure out what he really is.
We're talking to Doug Kyed from the Boston Herald. Do you have a few more minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I got to give you something you can choose to use or not.
Sure.
So one of my favorite combine interviews I did last year was with Jared Wilson.
Oh, interesting.
Him and Tate Ratledge.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know, they're like basically brothers.
Interesting.
And I asked Jared Wilson about Tate Ratledge, and he's like, that guy, I want him as my best man at my wedding. There's time. I was like, what do you think about his mullet? And he's like, man, I love his mullet. I smell his mullet. and I have that clip, and it was the funniest thing. So if you ever, like, even in just a private moment, want to say, I heard that you like smelling Tate Ratledge's mullet, you will get a good response.
That's
from
good.
Jared Wilson.
I like that. Jared Wilson, very good guy. That is hilarious.
He's a great guy.
Yeah,
man.
he's a super nice guy.
This was a guy that a lot of, like, when I was looking at what the Seahawks needed, I was like, this guy, super athletic, off the charts. His makeup is unbelievable. And for him to end up being at guard, which I think he's like a right size center, but undersized guard.
Definitely.
It's gonna be interesting to watch him develop, and I have high hopes for him.
Yeah, because I do think that his future is probably at center.
Yes.
I think the reason why he's a little bit of a weakness right now is because he's at guard, because he's smaller. But Garrett Bradbury, they signed this offseason. He was playing so well. And Wilson won the left guard competition. Ben Brown, a former Seahawk, was in the mix as well. He's been a great backup for Jared Wilson. But, yeah, I think the size plays a huge factor there.
Well, I think people have to realize you've got not a rookie quarterback, but an inexperienced quarterback. And to have a rookie center, you're talking about line calls, you're talking about communication. Like, that would have been a lot for those two to have to come together. So it makes some sense. But the Garrett Bradbury thing is kind of funny because, I mean, Minnesota fans have got to just be like dying for this Super Bowl. Like, oh my God, Sam Darnold's in it. Like, the GM gets fired.
Right.
The center that they let go is in it. They signed Ryan Kelly, who ended up being hurt half the year.
The quarterback they wanted to trade for is starting for the Patriots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it is. They're down bad.
Yeah, it's rough.
And not especially this time of year. They're probably under like 10 inches of ice and snow. So our feelings go out to the folks in the Midwest. So all that said, like, when you like look at this game and you're an objective person in all this, I am biased, but try to be objective.
Yeah.
How do you see it playing out? Like, give me kind of your estimate of how this is going to go.
I think it for the Patriots to win, it's going to have to be a low scoring game. I think that they're going to have to, really, really try to neutralize as much as they can on the Seahawks. It's funny, I haven't actually made a real pick yet in this game. I would probably be leaning towards the Seahawks at this point. And I'm not just saying that because I'm talking on Seahawks media here. But I think that that's the way it's leaning. I think it's a winnable game for the Patriots, though. And I think that anyone who does think it's going to be a blowout, I think is probably paying a little bit too close attention to those playoff games. But overall, yeah, I see it being a low-scoring game. I see the Patriots being able to stop the run. I think that Jackson Smith and Jigba will probably be able to make some plays regardless of who's covering him out there. And I think that that's probably going to wind up being the difference. The Patriots on offense, Drake May's been great, but they don't have that playmaker like JSN. Their rushing game has been great. Ramondre Stevenson is playing the best football of his career.
Really is.
The rookie Travion Henderson only played 4 snaps last week against the Broncos. So getting him more involved would be really key for the Patriots because he's a guy who every time he touches the ball, it could be a 50-yard touchdown or it could be no gain. The Patriots fans got mad at me a couple of weeks ago because Stevenson had an eye injury in one of the playoff games, and they had to put Henderson in there. And it was just like, no gain, loss of 2, no gain, loss of 1. And I was like, it's too boom or bust with Henderson right now, and there's just way too many busts. He hasn't had a 50-plus yard carry, I don't think, since Week 15 against the Bills. So that could really be the type of thing that could blow this game open for the Patriots, though, is if they can get Henderson in space and he can have a big play.
Yeah, I was interested with Henderson because I saw the 4 snaps. I was like, the guy must be injured. And then, like, from what I could see, it didn't sound like there was much of an injury. And I looked up, like, his pass protection.
It's been bad,
awful.
Yeah.
And so when you're going against teams where you're really worried about, pressure and blitzes and running back pickup, I'm assuming that's why.
Yeah, I think that's the big reason why. I think they also just trusted Stevenson more in the snow
because Stevenson's great at those things.
Yeah, he had. It's funny with Stevenson. He had, I think, 7 fumbles last year. He had 3 to start the season, and then he hasn't fumbled the ball since like week 3 or something like that. And he's been phenomenal. He's been ripping off big plays. But Henderson, coming into the draft, was known as being a really great pass protector in college, and it's been a huge problem in the NFL. He's getting beat all the time back there, to the point where the Patriots introduced like a pony set into their offense just to get him on the field along with Ramondre Stevenson, where then you've got both the running backs on there. Stevenson's in the backfield being able to pick up blitzes, and Henderson is either in the backfield with Stevenson or able to catch the ball, split out wide. So maybe they do a little bit more of that. They've been going pretty run heavy. They've been introducing a 6th offensive lineman in Thayer Munford. They've got a fullback, Jack Westover, who was a former Seahawk and a former Husky, local guy. He's playing like 20 snaps a game as a fullback. Yeah. So they've been leaning pretty heavily into the run, but I wonder if the Patriots use some of those same sets and try to pass it out of them to really fool the Seahawks this week.
Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, and I don't know, this is not a sourced thing, but I just saw in chat someone said that Drake May didn't practice today. Have you heard anything about that?
I've not seen that actually so far.
If you want to take a second, like I tried to look it up real quick. That might be chat with incorrect information, but that would be pretty big news because I haven't seen the practice reports come out.
No, I don't think they've come out yet. I'm looking at, unless Twitter, my internet's down right now or something, it doesn't look like that's the case. He was limited in practice last week with the right shoulder injury and the illness, but
everything's been trending positive.
Yeah, he's been saying that he's fine. He's been saying that he'll be 100%. So I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to like scare me into like oh my God, I've checked my phone. Yeah, exactly. Nice prank there if that's the case. And if I'm missing it, I'm blaming the internet here.
Yes, we'll find out. Yeah. Well, Doug, I really appreciate you taking the time. It's great to meet you.
Absolutely.
And enjoy the week, and I'll see you in the press box.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, enjoy the week as well.
All right, Doug Kyed from the Boston Herald. Amazing work from him as always, and make sure you check out his stuff at the Herald. As you could tell, knows the team inside and out. Does us a solid by coming over and giving us some information about that Patriots team. So, great stuff there. We are going to keep rolling on. I'm going to play for you guys a Jake Peetz interview that I did earlier today, exclusive. Nobody else has this, and I think you're going to really like it. It's a decently long interview. I will warn you, it's not video. I've got audio. I'm going to have a picture of Jake up while the interview is being played. So do me a favor. If somebody comes in the middle of that interview and they're like, hey, what's going on? Let them know. Let them know. This is an audio interview and the picture is not going to move. So look at Adam Ray. He's just having the time of his life over there. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Before we do, I want to make sure people are aware. We've got a really cool new sponsor we're working with. If you have ever had a challenge having good food that's quick and convenient, that's healthy for you, that tastes good, and like you can just get through your day without that being a whole other thing you have to do, Factor is the place you want to be. Like Factor meals is something I am just starting out using. I'm super excited. I'm going to get, it's all going to be waiting for me when I get home. There are hundreds of meals that you can choose from. You can pick whether you want to go on a keto-based thing, whether you want to just go normal, whether you want to go lean proteins, whether you want colorful veggies or you don't want sugars. Like they have all these different ways that you can pick it, and they have hundreds of rotating meals that keep things fresh, so you never get bored of what you're getting. I'm going to get steak. I'm getting some chicken. I'm getting some salad stuff, like all sorts of great stuff. Actually, a bowl, I believe, is one of the things I ordered. It's always fresh. None of this stuff is frozen, and it's ready in about 2 minutes. You don't have to prep anything. A lot of the meal plan stuff, it's like, oh, cool. Here's like all the, it's like going to IKEA and having like this furniture that you now have to assemble for the next 2 hours. Like, it's great to have fresh food. It's even better when you can just put it in, press go, and get a meal in 2 minutes. So if you go to factormeals.com/hawkblogger50 off, 50 off, that's factormeals.com/hawkblogger50 off. You get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. One free breakfast item per box for 1 year while subscription is active. So take advantage. Another cool deal coming to you from us and from Factor. So check that out. Obviously, make sure you go to Sleeper, download the Sleeper app, make some picks for the game. If you use promo code HAWKS, you get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions do apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for detail. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Okay, so let me set up this Jake Peetz interview, because I loved the conversation with him. I thought we covered all sorts of things. You're going to hear him. We're giving Tyson Prince, who is a quality control coach that works with the offense. You're going to hear us bantering about Tyson Prince at the start. Tyson was at the table with us and laughing and joking around. You also hear how Jake Peetz has connection with Tyson Prince. So you get a little bit of learning about both. We go all over the place in this conversation about where his kind of coaching history and coaching tree comes from, as well as his philosophy and like the job as a pass game coordinator, and what it's been like to work under Clint Kubiak and get a view of that offense relative to what Sean McVay did, and see like where it is. So without further ado, let me put this up for you from this morning conversation with Jake Peetz. Remember, there is no video as a still image, but you will hear the audio. Let me know if you have any problems hearing. Tell me a story about Tyson Prince, man. I hear this guy works with quarterbacks a little bit. Yeah, is he any good?
Very good. He's outstanding.
Tell me a story about Tyson. What should people know about him?
So I actually met Tyson when he was a lot younger, and I was a young QC like himself in Jacksonville, and his dad worked there.
Really?
So I remember his dad taking me to play hoops at 4:30 in the morning, doing the worm at practice. His dad is still coaching, great guy, Mr. Robert Prince. And then I get to work here with Tyson, who's shown great capacity between different systems, different positions, working with receivers last year, quarterbacks this year, really been a go-to guy for us.
What does a good QC do?
So there's no job description that handles it, and it really doesn't do any of them justice, because they have to handle so many things that keep getting added on. When you show capacity like Tyson has, you just get more things. And then what happens is you take things from other people and just give it to him, because you know the quality of the work that you'll get. So there's no like Bill Walsh book on it. It's something that you have to wake up earlier than everybody else to get done every day, and you don't sleep very much. But he does an elite job at just making sure things run accordingly. There's so much that happens during the week and on game day that people may not know about that he allows to happen.
You mentioned the Bill Walsh book. I've talked to a lot of coaches that have some kind of like foundational books that they've read. Is that one of them, or what are the ones for you that you consider?
That's one I think people have brought up early in my career, and it's a hard copy to get at times. But yeah. I think the greatest experience, reading is one, but being able to learn from great coaches. And I think that's where we've all been blessed, our different journeys, to be around different people. And like in Tyson's case, it's really cool how he's been able to grow up in it. His dad is one of the first guys that took care of me when I was coaching, and we've all been through a unique journey, and it's cool to be here together.
So I remember the day that Cooper Kupp signed, and it wasn't a normal opening press conference. There was a lot of people, and I looked in the back. All the coaches, front office was back there. Nobody had a bigger smile on their face than you. Talk about like what it was like for knowing that he was coming to join this team.
Yeah, and that's where like the relationships you build, they're very foundational rather than transactional. And Cooper and I both, we had a great experience at the Rams together, and we've been there for each other through things football related, personal. And for me, as a football player, he adds so much to our program as far as promoting Mike's culture and helping everybody. And I mean, he's elite at that, and he's still playing at a very high level. For me personally, he adds so much to me every day. That personal relationship and having that guy there, where we can talk about football, we talk about faith, we talk about family. It's extremely special, and I couldn't wait to get him back.
Now, I should have done my homework, but I think I've heard you have 8 kids. Is that accurate?
We have 9.
9 kids. So if I talk to you tomorrow, will it be 10?
It will not.
So life in the Peetz household, how much of your coaching style and your parenting style overlap?
You'd have to ask my wife Maggie that. They're actually at our home in Jacksonville, Florida now, enjoying the sun, kind of like we are here, but she's made it all happen and been a great blessing.
So for folks that don't know as much about your background and how you came up, like what made you kind of the coach you are today? What kind of shaped your philosophy on being a coach and offense? What would you talk about?
I think the people that believe in you and invest in you. And when I was a walk-on defensive back at Nebraska, Bill Callahan was my head coach, and he brought me in exit meetings before the spring of my senior year and said, hey, I think you'd be a good coach. Have you ever thought about doing that when you're done playing? And so I ended up finishing out, pursuing that career, and then had a lot of great influences. Jack Del Rio got me going, Mike Mularkey in Jacksonville, and then I went to Alabama with Coach Saban. Coach Saban, I worked for him twice. Working for him helped me a lot at different points in my career, grow fast, and then went with Sean McVay at the Redskins, and that's where him and I started our working relationship. And to go back with him again at the Rams was special. And then getting up here and with Mike, who I met Mike when I was a QC at Jacksonville and he was a GA at Georgia, and we'd always been able to stay in touch and was impressed with him. And when you get around these elite guys like that, it really helps to grow you, shape you, challenge your beliefs. But between Coach Saban, Sean, and Mike, and a bunch in between, I feel very blessed to have been around some great coaches.
Yeah, you probably have a unique vantage point, having worked for McVay and then worked for McDonald, different sides of the ball, but young, innovative, detailed. What's maybe something that they both share in common, and maybe something that's sets them apart from each other?
I think those two, Sean and Mike, are always evolving. They're always studying the mechanics. They're always trying to push the edge, and that's where you can watch what they do and try and replicate, but if you don't truly understand how they think and how they're trying to evolve, like that's what I don't even know if you'd call it the secret sauce. That's the grace in what they do, because they're always pushing and they're always working to make it better. They're never satisfied with it. And that's why getting to work with Clint this year has been such a blessing. It really took me back to our roots when we were with the Redskins, because so much of this system, the Shanahan system we ran at the Redskins with Sean, that was the Kubiak system from his dad, Gary. So you look at Kyle and Mike McDaniel, whether it's Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, they all have roots back to, and Kyle and Matt worked for Gary in Houston. They all have roots back to this. And that's what was so cool, even the verbiage, everything. I'm like, man, I feel like I'm back with the Redskins with Sean in 13 again, or 14 rather. But it's been special to see that. And then like the open-mindedness Clint has. what you see is what you get from him. Like that's been such a blessing to be able to work with him and see how he wants to evolve things. See how like Rico Dennison and John Benton that have been in this system, especially Rico. I mean, he played with Gary. He was there at the inception of this. And it's been special to see the genesis again, how each of those guys, whether it's Kyle, Sean, Mike, Matt, all those guys have evolved it to their own because they've all gone their own way with it. But then getting to the core of it and seeing how do we evolve it in our way. It's been a really special process. And like Tyson, to everybody on our staff, we have such great collaboration. We have great position coaches. We have like run game coordinator, Rico, J.O. Everybody contributes, which is special.
Yeah, there's folks that I talked to this offseason when Clint was hired, and they kind of similar to what you're saying, were like, he is kind of a bit of a throwback, his offense, to like more of the OG style, like, kind of what Kyle was running, maybe 2017. Do you see like people get so excited about innovations and variations, but you guys are the ones sitting here in the Super Bowl. Do you see it as like there is value in just doing something really well and it matters less how new or innovative it is? Or how do you kind of, compare this offense to some of those that maybe are, some people would say more cutting edge?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I really feel like we are doing that. And I feel like when you focus on the core fundamentals and beliefs and you get that hard bedrock foundation, that's going to put you in a position to succeed. And that's where we have such great teachers that are position coaches. You go down the line, every position coach we have is an excellent teacher, and how they teach the foundation and fundamentals, which then allows us to get the players their best op. And then scheme-wise, how do we create the advantage? And then what I would say about going back in time, the nomenclature takes me back there. The innovation is definitely there as far as the evolution on how we've changed surfaces, where in the run game, you move gaps differently. You may not be pulling a guy, you may be bringing a guy across the formation, whether it's change of passing strength to identify things or seeing how they're setting the secondary structure. All that is alive and well here. And it's really cool to see how each of those people that came from this system has innovated it in their own way. But essentially, what you can teach and then what you can allow your guys to thrive on is what you need to throw your fastball on. And that's what I'm really proud of our guys for. And Clint has done an excellent job dialing that up. And it doesn't mean you're going to have a successful play every play. It gives you a chance. And we have great players that make it come to life.
So, pass game coordinator. I was just talking to J.O. before about run game coordinator. And for people that don't know, like, what does that entail? Are you designing plays? What's your coordination with run game coordinator? How does that all work?
So how it works is we have great collaboration through the staff, but what I do with Clint is we get together and we'll tie everything as far as pass game against defensive mechanics. And then it's like, hey, we have a lot of great ideas that everybody's bringing together here. And then how do we either marry it with the run game? How do we marry it to mechanically what we're seeing from the defense? And then how do we teach it to allow ourselves to operate it efficiently?
So, calling plays, a lot of people focus on like the scheme, but it seems to me like there's a lot of art to the sequencing of how you set something up and the order in which you call things and how you counter what you're seeing from the other team. How much do you feel like that is something that's really an acquired skill versus something that just innately someone has?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a skill, and it comes through preparation. You're trying to play ahead of the game, anticipate what the defense may call, allowing yourself answers if they don't, right? And you've got to prepare for worst case scenario and calls as well, whether you get out of that play or you say, if we get this, then that. And that's something that I've been very impressed with Clint, to see how we go through the week process, and I'll give him a sequence list, my thoughts, and then he'll go through and make it his own, what he's comfortable with, and he does an excellent job. Like, there are a few times in game that a call has come up and I was like, man, that was awesome. What a great thought, because you can sequence it at the beginning. You also have to feel the game as it goes and be able to adapt, and that's something I feel like he does an elite job at. We've had some critical calls later in games that you could tell he was feeling.
When you eventually get your opportunity to be an OC and a head play caller, What do you want your calling card to be? How do you think your people are going to, what's the style of offense that you're going to try to run?
You always want to be the hunter, not the hunted. And you want people to feel like every time they play you, they're getting hunted.
Love it. Appreciate it. Really nice to get to know you.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, take care. Great stuff there from Jake Peetz, who may be your next offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. I loved what I heard from him, and I loved his philosophy. I loved at the end talking about being the hunter and not the hunted. And, I think that having had a chance now to spend some time with Justin Outen, the run game coordinator, Jake Peetz, the pass game coordinator, two guys internally that are going to have, I think, an opportunity to potentially be the next OC for the Seahawks. One thing's really clear to me is, these are two guys that are super bought in to what's going on in that building, that have put in time, effort, and gotten results for what they've done, and I think have respect in that organization. So I think it's a champagne problem, as people would say, for the Seahawks to kind of figure out which of those guys are the right guys to maybe elevate, assuming that they do look internally. They could still very well go outside of the organization. But if they do, keep in mind, I think if you go outside the organization, there's a chance someone like Jake Peetz is like, I'm out of here. Now, he might not have somewhere to go, but he's had, I think a lot of us thought that maybe he would have been a candidate to succeed Ryan Grubb. From what I understand, it didn't sound like he even got interviewed for that. I didn't see any reports that he did. And then from there, you've got, him interviewing for other OC roles that he has not gotten yet. And if they were to then have Clint Kubiak go and still have, him still not get the role, that's a pretty strong sign to Jake Peetz that maybe he's not going to get the job here. Maybe this isn't the right place for him. So, all of this goodness and chemistry that they've been building in the coaching staff, it's not hard to picture how there could be some sour feelings that come out of it, depending on how this plays out. So, I'm looking forward to that conversation once we get there. I'm certainly not looking ahead to it now, but I think it's nice to get a chance to kind of get to know Jake Peetz a little bit as part of that conversation. And I also talked again to Justin Outen today. I didn't record it after we did a lengthy interview the day before. I joked with him about me blowing that and not having it recorded, but it was a great discussion there as well. We went over a bunch of things, and I just think the Seahawks are in pretty good hands there. The one thing I will say is you can assess the person, and I think the people wise, that these are solid individuals that certainly know what they're doing. As far as like play caller, and you heard Jake Peetz talk about sequencing and how Clint has taken some of the sequencing plans that Jake has handed to him and made them his own, and then made a specific play call at a specific time based on feeling the way the game was going that maybe Jake wouldn't have thought to do. And so you cannot predict how someone is going to be as a play caller until you get a little bit more evidence of how they're going to do. Now, it is worth noting that Jake Peetz did call plays, I believe, at LSU. So he's had some experience doing that and getting a feel for it. Justin Outen has also gotten a feel of that, not a ton, but that will be something to kind of see when and if one of those guys take over. So I am looking to see if any of the other folks that we were going to bring on are going to make it. I don't know if they are. There was one other interview I wanted to play for you guys, and if you don't mind, I'm going to roll right into it. This was a really fun conversation with Justin Hinds. And Justin Hinds is the defensive line coach for the Seahawks. And he is among the most energetic coaches you're going to see. The players love him. He loves them. He gets after them as well. And it was cool that like he was sitting there alone at the table. Actually, he wasn't alone, but it was just him and one of their coach at the table. And I was like, you guys don't get to sit by yourselves. I'm going to hang out with you. And I sat down and got right into this conversation with him about the defensive line. And we went out, like I went to places that probably most people won't. I went to players that most people probably would not. And I got some really good stuff from Justin Hinds. We eventually get to a conversation about Byron Murphy and some other stuff that was really cool to hear. I thought his comments about Brandon Peely that you'll hear are also really interesting. Similar to the Jake Peetz interview, this is going to be a still image. So you'll hear it, but it will not move. So again, if anybody comes in late and they're like, why is there no moving video? That is why. But without further ado, here is the interview with Justin Hinds. Hinds, man, there is no coach on this staff that brings more juice to practice than you do. Is that always been you?
Yeah, I think really when you look at it, just how I've been as a young coach, I enjoy being out there with the guys, wrestling with the Bears to say the least. It's been really good.
You know, you got to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but there were some young guys in that rookie mini camp and into training camp, Bubba Thomas and J.R. Singleton, who you seem to really take a shine to. Am I right?
Oh yeah, I love them. I call them the 6 foot and under D tackle crew right there. They've done a great job, man. Like because it's funny because obviously a lot of parallels between like how I played and like how they played. So it's just like you see those guys go out there and do it and play at a high level. You want them to be successful, and they've done a great job of doing a great look. Like JR, they call it AKA Spot. That's his name. He's got a little patch on there, but he's rolling. He does a great job in the scout team periods, and he's earned the right to be here. You know, I think he has a chance to play.
Yeah, I mean, for one of the deepest, best, position groups in the NFL, that defensive tackle group in particular, people don't know about those two, and especially JR. That guy seems to have something when I've watched him in terms of what he can potentially be. Do you see him like 3-tech? What's your vision for what he can become?
I think he's like one of those like deluxe players. Like you can play in the B or the A gap. All right, I think he's primarily B, but like in pass rush situations, he could rush from the A gap. So I'd see him being like a first, second down, like 3 technique, and then playing the A gap on second down and rush distances for us. I think that's his role in the future.
Is there a player that you've coached or you watched that comes to mind when you watch him play that you think he could be something similar to?
Man. Honestly, I haven't had like a player like him because he played like one thing I knew about him, like he would do whatever it takes because he played 0 nose at Iowa State. And when you watch that, like that is not an easy position to play. And he was able to play it despite like not being the biggest guy. So I think really for him is like he's kind of been a guy that I haven't, because I've been around guys that have had bigger stature, and like when I was in Chicago it was like bigger bodies in there. I would say like Andrew Billings, but probably not as strong, a little bit like that savvy kind of player, but like Andrew's probably a little bit more explosive and strong and twitch, but like I would say that's probably like a good comparison for him, but with more rush.
And you guys have, you rotated some different noses in there over the year. Obviously, Quentin ended up going on to Green Bay, but Brandon Peely's played a meaningful role this year. What kind of growth have you seen from him?
Man, I think he's taken a huge step in the right direction. I think when you talk about Peely, it's like he is. I'm not gonna lie, like pound for pound, like if you went like a bunch of 3 different sports, he might be the best athlete. Like when you say like just ball in hand, like do a backflip, catch a football, like he might be like one of the best on the team, pound for pound. But like his intent is what we were trying to work on as it went, because it was like talent was never the issue. A guy from Alaska going to USC has talent, but like now he's in nowhere where he's working, he's changing his body, the work ethic, the culture behind him is like really taking his game to the next level. And a credit to him, he's been really resilient, because in the beginning of the year he got cut, came back, and then like now we have him on practice squad, and he's been up and down, and he has had a great attitude. I'm so excited to coach this guy. I think he's got a lot of potential in the NFL.
All right, so, take this with a grain of salt as someone who's just, trying to learn and watch. But his body type's interesting because he's so strong and fast, but he seems to carry his weight high.
Yeah, for sure.
And not as thick low. And there were times in training camp I saw AB knock him off. And so like someone says, oh, he's 340, he's not going to get moved. But how do you work with a player in that kind of situation where you've got some genetics you got to work with?
So to me, I think like where it starts for him is going to be, all right, how do I just create like power angles and balance with the body that I have? So to me, when you have a guy like that, you got to teach him, all right, how do you bend? How do you create anchor? And there's naturally going to be a little bit of a difference when the guy, because the number one indicator for a guy that can play with balance is his lower body, his strength, because he's got to be able to absorb and then be able to play back out and press. I think really for him is that he's got to be perfect in a technician. He's got to play with a proper base. Like when you watch him get him knocked off the ball, he's not playing with the right base. He's got to be perfect in his technique, his hand placement, his eyes, and like he's got to work to press. I think when we start to get his weight room in the offseason, this offseason is going to be big for him. I think that's going to see him take a next jump in his technique. Yep.
So the left turn here. So, and again, this is something I don't know is real or not, but there was some comment that it looked like the Rams may have started to detect, based on where Leonard was on the line, what stunts might be coming or where stunts might be happening. What kind of self-scouting do you guys do on that to help, counter teams maybe starting to anticipate your rush plans?
I would say that, one, teams are going to know that we game and stunt. So, like, the violence and everything has to be what we need it to be. Now, our job is to move them around and create the different fronts. I think the thing what the Rams do a great job of is, like, they know how they have to operate against us to be able to move the football, which is they're going to max protect on the edges, and they're going to create basically one-on-one for a guy not in an advantageous rush. So I think moving Leo around on the edge, if you watch him, we put him on the edge some, then we're going to move him at the 3 technique, he'll be at the nose some. So, like, I think moving your premium players around is the number one most important thing. And when we self-scout that, like, we'll go back through the week and say, okay, hey, this is what we can do to pair with this blitz or this look or hey, this movement based on this alignment. Because if you show offensive linemen, like, how do we make it all look the same? His shoulders, all that stuff, his approach. That's how we try to make everything look. And we try to give Leo, hey, this is what they're looking for when you're lined up here and in this position. So it's even beyond just the alignment. It's like, what do you look like when you're running this certain game?
The game against the 49ers in Week 18, for my eyes, was one of the best rush plans I've seen in terms of execution. Purdy's so slippery, and he could not go anywhere that game. The next game he runs for 400 plus yards behind the line of scrimmage. So, like, it seems relevant when you're going up against Drake May, like how much, even though Purdy's not the runner, but he is elusive that way, how you can rush effectively, get pressure on him, but also make sure he doesn't beat you outside.
Yeah, I think for me is that the number one thing is, like, giving the guys, like, our theme has been 4 = 1. So we have to be, 4 has to be able to rush these 6 gaps and understand where he's going to be based on what the other guys are doing. So how well do we play off each other? What are the ways that we can exchange the gaps? Which ways that we want to be able to generally rush? But, like, how do we keep this guy in the pocket, make him win from there? And then where he wants to escape is where we want to wind up. So, like, everything in our mind is drilled into that. We give the guys the opportunity to understand where he's going to be and then try to build our rush plan off of that.
All right, last thing. Byron Murphy, just a crazy genetic beast that he is. You've got a guy like that last year was playing a lot of zero and was not getting as many rush opportunities. This year, he's still playing a lot of zero, but he's also getting more rush opportunities. What's next? What's next for him?
Man, I think he's going to be as good as he wants to be. I think Byron is a sponge. He's super coachable. I think really the next step for him is, like, all right, how do we create the fronts to give him the one-on-ones? Like, if you watch now, we move him and Leo around because they both can win. Like, the one thing we started to realize, like, if we give Byron the opportunity and he has the one-on-one, he can win fast. And that's the name of the game now. So the name is not just winning, it's about how fast you can win. And, like, Byron and Leo are, like, really good at doing that. So I think really for us is, like, letting Leo rush from the nose and the load front, letting Byron rush from a 3. Getting a double 3s. Like, we were, like, more of, like, a load front. Like, how do you play in more 2x2 fronts? How do we give this guy more opportunity? How do we dictate protections to give Byron some more one-on-one opportunities? But he also rushes really good from the A-gap because he's so strong and powerful. He can push the centers back into the lap of the quarterback. So there's so many fun, different things for him. But when we talk about the advances of him, it's like really about how can we get his hands fast, hands quick, and like increase his quick win ability so that you'll start to see those double-digit sack seasons and things like that from him. But when a guy plays no D tackle, to me, as besides like Jeffrey Simmons and some other guys that play all 3 down and distances, Leo, like they play all 3 down and distances, which to me, that is a hard task for those big guys. And I think that's going to be the growth of him as he continues to go. I want him to be the best 3 down defensive tackle in the NFL.
One more thing I realized, looking at the other side, you guys go against the Seahawks offensive line all the time. I spent a fair amount of time trying to tell people that like all the crap out there about Anthony Bradford being the worst, player out there, and that they watch 2 or 3 snaps. I've seen that guy move people. When you look at that interior of the line for the Seahawks, Jalen Sundell, Gray Zabel, Anthony Bradford, what do you think it's like for you guys going against them? What have you seen from them?
Man, I tell you what, when we first went to camp, it was the hat speed, man. JB has done a great job, Rico, Justin Allen, and then putting the guys in position, keeping it all the same. Quinshawn Odom, who's their assistant, he does a great job of giving the guys and consistency. But the speed of their hat to me was the biggest thing. And then I think AB, man, is this guy is talented, but everything is just about having the consistent success. That is just what the generation is. It's how do we create the success so this guy has the confidence to go play? And what you're seeing now is what we've seen, but instead of being in flashes, it's now going to be consistent, and he is whooping tail. Jalen Sundell, one of the best centers in the NFL when it comes to hat speed, reaching somebody, ID and stuff, and then getting on the edge. And then Gray Zabel is the great combination of both. He's a first-year player, but he's really a vet. He sees everything. He understands who he is, very self-aware, athletic, the whole 9, and they challenge us every single day inside, and that's what it's a great battle. AB, you know what you're going to get. You better bring your big boy shoes, and then with Gray Zabel and Sundell, you better have a chance to get on it, make sure you understand that you can knock them back. Yep.
Appreciate you, man. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that was interview with Justin Hinds. Hope you guys you'll love that. I think Justin Hinds is a fantastic voice and personality in this organization. I think he's got a lot of bright future ahead of him. And when we talk about offensive coaches leaving and who's going to replace them, you've got the potential that Adam Dirty may leave. If not this year, I think there's a chance he's going to leave at some point. And having guys like Carl Scott, Justin Hinds in the wings is great. And I'm going to try to talk to Carl Scott tomorrow. He'll be high on my list. I haven't had a chance to meet Carl yet, and I know that he is really, really well respected. So I'm glad you guys sound like you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned a little bit. I thought the Brandon Peely stuff in particular, and his body type and how he thinks about it, and the chances he has for growth in terms of what Justin Hinds sees for him this offseason was really cool. The Byron Murphy comments about what he thinks he can be. That was great. I loved that from Justin. Genuine dude. And just really great stuff. So we're going to, we've had so many guests. We've had Ted Nguyen. We've had Albert Breer. We've had Adam Ray. We've had Jake Peetz. We've had Justin Hinds. We've had Doug Kyed from the Boston Herald. So we have a ton of guests, but the biggest guest of all has finally sat down. One that you guys have all been waiting for. This is my son, Isaac Nemhauser, who gave himself the unintended nickname HB Jr.
Threw it at a wall and it stuck.
It did. It stuck, man. So we're going to wrap up the show, just having a little bit of fun here, catching up. And this is Isaac's first experience going to anything related to the Super Bowl. Certainly his first experience here on Radio Row. So, dude, first of all, tell us about what your impressions are. For people that aren't here, how would you describe it? And then also feel free to take some shots at your dad if you want, because I'm sure people would enjoy.
I got a few.
Any of those. So yeah, what's come up for you so far?
Yeah, well, I mean, first, thanks for having me.
And that's it. We're done now. Thank you.
It's been, I mean, words don't do it justice. It's just an absolute madhouse. I mean, I'm looking right now at 100+ booths, 1,000, 2,000 people, cameras all over the place, people just scrambling around. It's just a absolute zoo, and nothing like I've ever seen before. I don't think there's probably much in sports that can really compare as far as just so many different outlets, so many different perspectives and different people all in one place. It's really just something couldn't imagine anything like it. So really special. But its craziness has rubbed off on you for sure.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
I don't think you've stopped. Your heart rate has dropped below like 130 since you came to SF. I mean, you've been just going. It's impressive.
Well, I mean, there's this feeling of, this is a special moment, right? It's a special moment for the team. It's a special moment for the fan base, and time just hurtles forward. We don't get to slow it down. I'd hate to have a situation where where I or us look back and we're like, man, why was I in my hotel room watching a TV show or sleeping when I, could have had a unique experience here? But it's like the FOMO is real. Like even now I'm like, man, there's probably 100 people I could be out there trying to talk to and maybe having the next cool conversation that there's no reason to know that we could have had.
But like you said, I mean, this is as good as the guests get.
It is true. It's all downhill from here. It's so true. It's so true. So for you have different groups that you roam in, different people you pay attention to, as you should, than a 50-year-old man. Who are the faces you've seen that maybe have got your attention here?
I mean, I'm more partial to athletes that I watch play than I've noticed you are to journalists that you listen to and that you read. I mean, as far as journalists go and TV personalities, Pat McAfee, who's pretty incredible, seeing him up close. I mean, nothing coming to the top of my mind right now, but we've met, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 big name people. But the athletes, I mean, arriving this morning and seeing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins 10 feet away from us in the middle of an interview, Justin Jefferson playing Madden, with I think it was Eric Kendricks or something over there. It's just those are the interactions. Those are the sights that won't ever get old for me.
All right, I'm going to try to fix an issue with focus on the camera because I can do that because you're my son. And
go ahead.
So before I do that, I'll leave you with a question to answer and talk about. So with your experience so far in seeing how all of this is working, what of it's kind of stood out to you? What are the how would you describe this? If someone's like, okay, describe Radio Row to me, how would you describe it? And what advice would you give for somebody who's just starting to get to know it? What advice would you give for someone who's coming here?
It's a loaded question. Yeah, you left me with plenty to talk about. I mean, for one, the thing that's struck me the most as just being surprising and unpredictable is it's not organized. There are the big name people, the T. Higgins, the Jamar Chases, the Justin Jeffersons, the guests, you can call them, the people who aren't busy hosting their own show. They're just floating around, and people are coming up to them, bombarding them with questions, asking for autographs, for photos, whatever. But most importantly, they're being asked to be guests on shows. And so it's just, I mean, if you're a big name, if you're someone that someone recognize or that most people can recognize, you're going to be dragged in a million different directions the entire time you're in this room. As far as advice to someone who would be coming to Radio Row, depends on who you are. If you're hosting your own show, like my dad here, wouldn't have too much advice for you. I'm not in a position to give it. But if you're someone like me who happens to have gotten a position where they're lucky enough to just enjoy the spectacle, that's what I would recommend doing. Just enjoy it. I feel like a small fish in a massive pond right now, and I know that this experience, if I ever do it again, it will be very few times. So I'm just enjoying trying to live in the moment as much as I possibly can. Interact with as many people as I can, and really just soak it all in. That would be my advice.
Well done. We got Wheel for Real here, whose member says, maybe Brian is just getting big time now, so the camera just autofocuses on the most important person on the screen. There's some truth to that, not at the part that you might think. The camera has a setting where it knows my face, and so it knows to focus there. I didn't even think that it would have an issue today, and probably it's been happening this whole week, so I appreciate that people brought it up. I think it's back so that we're all in focus now, at least from what I see. So let me know if it
probably don't want to see me anyway. So
you know what? You got some compliments on your mustache game.
All right, I'll take
chat.
that. I'll take that.
So yeah. Let's take some super chats. We've got a new member here, Jeff Langston. So he's become a new member. Welcome to the crew. We've got Donald Hester, who's gifted 5 Hawk Blogger memberships. Thank you, Donald. And so has Rockman Drums has gifted 5 Hawk Blogger memberships. So that's 10 free memberships to the crew, and really appreciate that. As you guys know, we try to build like a brand here that's built around generosity and kindness and giving, and I love it when people give these memberships. If you want one of them, just turn gifting on your YouTube account, and then like the show, subscribe, watch it, comment on it. All those things are what YouTube pays attention to in order to decide who gets one of these free memberships. So now people are saying I'm out of focus. I don't know. I think someone said focus is balanced now. I think the focus is pretty good. Based on what I could see, but who knows? You know what? We're gonna do the best we can. I think there's probably some Venmo super chats. I will do a quick check of those. Venmo.com/Brian-Nemhauser. And let me double check and see if anyone's done a Venmo super chat to get to those. While we're waiting on that, Isaac, how do you feel about this game, dude?
I would say I'm probably like most of the country. I'm pretty confident and a little scared with my lack of fear, really. In my time as a Seahawks fan, I can't recall too many instances where we were coming into a really big game, and this is the biggest game. And my heart rate hasn't been rising at all. I'm just like at peace with this team. I've seen what they could do. I'm confident in their ability, their talent. Like if we play 70% of our ability, we should be able to win.
Well, I love that confidence. One of the things that kind of reminds me of is I'm superstitious. I'm not as nearly as superstitious as I used to be. And I mean, I used to be like wild.
Didn't you used to like flip a pen or something?
I used to do like growing up, I did crazy, weird OCD. No offense to anyone who's got OCD, but like really like weird, repetitive things to like, because I believed I was going to have an effect on the Seahawks game. But I'm not anything like that now. But there's still this sense of, oh man, I feel this way about the game, and so it's likely this is going to happen or that's going to happen. And as it gets close to the game, I get nervous. Or it's like, oh, they just had a big win, now they're probably going to have a letdown, or oh, it's on the road for the second, like whatever. And this team just seems impervious to that. Like every single time, I'm like, I don't know, this is, this sets up as a tough thing, and they're like, we did not care. Like that just shows up. Like, even though Mike McDonald said it, it shows up so often where they're kind of tendency breakers. And it doesn't matter what we feel or what we're nervous about or confident in. They just show up every week and they kick people's ass like time after time after time.
Yeah, they're consistent. I mean, I think it all really does come back to the defense. But when people talk about good quarterbacks, the most common thing I hear when they talk about good quarterbacks is they're always the same.
Mm-hmm.
They're level-headed. I remember Kyle Shanahan was saying that about Brock Purdy, and that's what this whole team seems to be. They don't waver. They don't change very much week to week. They just go out and do their business, and they're pretty damn good at doing their business.
I got it. You said Kyle Shanahan made me think. Yesterday, you went and checked out the NFL fan experience. Yes? It's kind of cool. Like, anyone that's been to like Disneyland and had the massive lines and like somehow got a fast pass to beat it, you had two experiences I think are worth sharing, which is one, just like walking by and hours of people in line and getting in.
Yeah.
And then also, what did you see there in terms of fans?
I mean, I don't know who's watching. I don't want to hurt any feelings, but if I was a NFL fan wanting to experience the Super Bowl, I would care way more about the game than the fan experience. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
It was just, I mean, it was tailored to a younger audience for sure. It felt good to, just fly in and not have to worry about any of the lines, whatever. But some of the shit they had lined up there for people to do. I mean, it was probably a 2-3 hour wait just to take a picture of the Lombardi Trophy, which you could see from the outside without having to wait in a line. There was an event, Lowe's had like a race to load laundry machines. It was just the weirdest thing and a money grab.
And what jersey did you see most predominantly? What team jersey?
Niners fans. I told you all about that. They were lines and lines and lines of Niners fans. And actually, I don't think I shared this with you. There was one moment they had like an MC on stage. No major name, but they shouted out, any Niners fans in the house, and a couple shouts, and they go, let's hear it, and not a peep. Not a peep. So pretty subdued.
They were waiting in line to like take pictures of themselves with something. What was it?
Like a 49ers helmet.
I mean,
they're down, a big one.
They're down bad, man. Like to wait hours to get in and then wait in the line to take your picture with a oversized 49ers helmet while your chief rival is playing on your home field for the Super Bowl. Can't say I hate it, dude. I can't say I hate it. And there's all these 49ers fans everywhere, and they're a lot quieter than they normally are.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean their jerseys are loud, their attire is loud, just like it always is. But no, they don't seem to be talking their normal shit.
All right, let's take a look at Venmo Super Chats. We got a few here. Eric Smith says, thanks for all the great Seahawks coverage. I've been listening for years. Hope this helps with the Ethernet charge on Radio Row. Figured since I was enjoying it, I should help out. Keep up the great work. This is very kind. Cindy Shell did this yesterday as well. These are both very generous contributions. They have a real racket here, and first day I did it off of Wi-Fi, and that was fine. But I think that's partially because there weren't as many people here. And so when I got here yesterday morning, and I had the interview with Matt Hasselbeck right away, and I did a quick speed test on Wi-Fi, it was crawling like 5 megabits, like not video streaming worthy. And so then I was like, well, crap, I'm gonna have to buy the Ethernet, which is $1,100. Or like what's going to end up being like 3 or 4 days. So I really, really appreciate the contribution. It was a bummer for the pocketbook to see that happen. And it's really nice that people are chipping in to help cover at least some of that cost. Garrick Danielson says, I had $12 in here, but it's not nothing. Help with the internet. Good luck, Go Hawks. Garrick, that is not nothing, man. Honestly, the fact that you took any time to do this, Venmo.com/Brian-Nemhauser, is really nice. And another one from Derek Long, Moscone Center Internet. This is great. I honestly, like, you guys are the best. You make me smile, and you also allow me to have enough money to do other things other than just pay for internet, which feels like 1990. What are we paying for internet for anymore? All right, we got a couple other super chats here. Upper left 206. Brian, your work covering the team has been awesome all season. Go Hawks. Thank you very much. That is very kind of you. Will Fries, who's in Minnesota on a team that is not in the Super Bowl. Awesome coverage so far, Brian. What do you think the Seahawks will do to keep Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, Kyrus Tonga from wrecking the game? What adjustments might they make? I mean,
we were talking about this morning.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a place where the Patriots should feel really good about their opportunity to wreak havoc. And as far as what the Seahawks will do, I'm moving the pocket. Like, now this is a common fan thing. It seems simple, but like, I am looking to get Sam out of the pocket, move the launch point for passing. I'm also looking to run the ball like they always do to try to keep those guys from being able to just tee off as a pass rusher or just get into the backfield. I'm also getting them moving, like Milton Williams is a very athletic dude. Christian Barmore is great. He's a little bit more stout. but get those guys on the move, which is what they do. And I'd also be looking at things like screen game. The screen game for the Seahawks has been really, really good lately. So let's see if they can do, like, they have all these tools in the toolbox now that they can use to keep those guys off balance. So it's not just a matter of play in, play out. I'm just going to like pin my ears back and try to like blow up Anthony Bradford or blow up Jalen Sundell. They're going to have more things that they have to think about and deal with. So that's what I would do. I think from the Patriots side, they're going to have some idea of that, and they've been aggressive with blitzing. And one of the ways you can really get after like bootlegs and things like that, play action under center, is by blitzing, because it takes longer. The quarterback's back is to the defense for a little while. And so there's a little bit of a risk there that, you're going to get some, bad moments if something like that happens. So it's going to be a good little cat and mouse game. That is certainly, like, I would say, I think that's their biggest advantage in this game. I'm still in the process of writing my tail of the tape, so I'll get that up before the game, because that is still a superstition. I've written it before every game. I'm not going to not do it now. So I'll get that up sometime before the game. But I guess last thing, Isaac, before we kind of wrap up, if there's one thing you want to see happen in this game, one thing that would, like, obviously you want them to win, but one thing that would be meaningful to you that you'd be excited to see happen, what comes to mind?
I think it's a boring answer, but it's the right answer. Like, if this team, it's still, even though we're the heavy favorites for good reason, they still don't get the respect I think that they deserve nationally as a real true powerhouse, and one that can continue to stay this strong next year and beyond. I think the only thing that's going to give us a chance to be regarded in that way is Sam Darnold balls the hell out. If he goes out and puts up a true Super Bowl MVP performance, 200, 250 yards, 2 to 3 touchdowns, no picks, I mean, there's no arguing anymore. NFC Championship and Super Bowl, playing great, that'd be pretty awesome.
I love that. I was thinking about, I think that's a great one. I was thinking about, would it be best if they passed the ball at the 1 yard line four times for 4 touchdowns? Would it be better?
Four times McDonald was asked the question.
Yeah. Or if every time at the 1 yard line they run the ball for a touchdown, like, I don't know which would be best, but I would love to see like that just ground into the dirt a little bit, one way or another. That'd be kind of fun.
I think I saw a tweet that said they should do some Milrow triple options on the goal line. That would be.
Don't do that. Don't do that. That has not worked so well this year. While we were talking, a couple more super chats. So let me get these up here. This is from Smokehawk for the internet. You are our link to the team. Thank you, by the way. Feeling better. Glad to hear it, Smokehawk. Go Hawks. This is from Dogzilla Monster. Isaac looked great. Go Hawks.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Jesus, this head's going to be so big, I'm not going to fit in the car now. Wheel for real. I'm just here so I can help the fines. Hello. Well, thanks, dude. I appreciate that. So tomorrow, we will figure out. In the morning, we're going to go to the team availability again. We're going to have some more conversations. Hopefully, I'll be able to record some more interviews like I did with Jake Peetz and Justin Hinds. I've actually got some Rashid Shaheed and Brady Russell sound that I'll probably play for you guys tomorrow. I don't know. I'm still trying. Like Katie Nolan and I thought we were going to have an agreement that we should be on. We were having fun talking yesterday. Hopefully she'll be on. Annie Agar, we have tentative that she might be on as well. We'll see. We'll see how those things turn out. I'm still hoping to get Michael Gervais on the show. Maybe Stephen Hauschka on the show, which would be fun. Who works with Michael Gervais.
That's money.
And it'd be fun to talk to him. And who knows? We'll see what else. And obviously tomorrow night, 5:00 will be a real Hawk Talk. So, there's going to be a ton for you tomorrow. Pretty decent chance that Friday, tomorrow, I think I'm going to wrap up the Radio Row thing. We're going to pack up from here. And then Friday, we'll do Mike Sando, Dave Bowling. I'll probably do that from our rental. And then we're going to be moving to a different location, a private location, and we'll have some fun stuff that goes on there as well. So everybody, have a great rest of your night. Hopefully you enjoyed the million different interviews we had. And until until the next time, have a great rest of your night. This has been your afternoon edition of Hawk Blogger Mornings.